Welcome to Cross the Line Sports. My name is Carlos Smith, and with me right now I have another special guest here at SWAC Media Day, head coach of Alabama State, Coach Eddie Robinson. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you guys coming out to cover us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking time to have a conversation. So being here at Media Day once again, how is it, being amongst, your peers with all the great coaches at these great universities and these young athletes here? How was this experience?
I mean, it's just awesome. I think, it's the one time when the coaches can kind of get together in more of a relaxed atmosphere. We see each other at game day. It's a handshake and we trying to win. And now it's more of a, you can just have a conversation, talk about all things we're doing, the things that can help us to improve as a conference, and just to talk to some of the other athletes, the guys, the kids that are competing, and that's why we're all here, because of the students that are on the field. And so I just love that the media comes out to cover us to this level, and I just love what we're doing, and I think Dr. McClellan, the commissioner, is doing a great job of keeping the media day hyped at the level that it's at.
Absolutely. Would you say that coaching is almost like a sacred fraternity where you guys, like you said, you don't always get to spend time with each other. Everybody has their own things going on in different places. But of course, you see each other on game day. But is coaching like somewhat like a sacred fraternity where you compete against each other, but you still uplift and elevate each other as well at the same time?
I mean, most of these guys, we're friends. I mean, I think Alabama A&M is the perfect example. I mean, they're the other school in the state, the other HBCU school, but we need them to be successful. They need us to be successful. There's only one day out the year that we don't like each other.
Right.
Other than that, you're rooting for them and you hope that they do well also. When schools play out the conference, you're always rooting for the SWAC school to do well and perform well, because it makes the whole conference elevate. So we're rooting for each other. We compete against each other and you want to beat each other, but at the same time, it's a genuine concern that all of the 12 schools are performing at a high level.
Heading into your third season as the head coach, am I correct?
Yep, third season.
What type of culture have you established and are looking to maintain, at this university at Alabama State?
I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. We're just walking into the team meeting rooms. The looks on the faces are buying into what we're selling, and I think that's the biggest thing, that the kids have to commit to the standard. I mean, we can set the standard, but if the kids don't commit to it, then the coaches are leading it. We have to make sure that the players are buying into it and they hold each other to that same standard. So that's what I'm seeing this year. Of course, there's going to be some difficult times, as always is in the season, and then that's when we got to make sure that the kids have a foundation to go back on and that they can commit to each other. So this summer, I love it because it's all about team building. We got about 40 new guys from freshmen and transfers, and so we got to make sure that all of those guys are kind of buying into what we're doing, and then the leaders have to step up and become leaders.
Absolutely, and just to piggyback off of what you're saying about getting guys to buy in, how tough is it to get these young athletes to buy in, especially in today's time when you have social media and these guys may have hundreds of thousands or if not millions of followers, and they see all of these things online and you see these highlight reels and people seeing it, they think these guys are like so great, which they are great. They have a special talent to get to this level. But how tough is it, if at all, to get these guys to buy in to what you're doing, especially with social media?
I think it's just on a daily basis. It's just a small talk at the end of practice, maybe a little conversation during practice. You may sit down and have lunch with them. So you're just really letting the kids know that you care about them. Coach Eddie Robinson, the legend, he said you got to love them before you coach them. And so you got to let the kids know that you care about them and love them, and then at that point they'll let you coach them. So
you were blessed to play at the highest level in the NFL. Does that somewhat make it a little bit easier for guys to buy in and follow your lead, because they see you like, hey, here's a guy that played at the highest level and he knows what it takes to get there, let me follow in his lead? Does it make it a little bit easier, even though the times are different now? Does it still make it a little bit easier knowing that these guys can follow because you played at the highest level?
Yeah, well, they will listen. All right, because they're gonna, at least you're gonna perk their curiosity to say, hey, all right, coach, what did you do to get there? But then at that point, you got to give them a message, and you got to give them a message that they can buy into almost 20 or 30 years later. So it's a little bit different message, but at the same time, it starts and ends with hard work. So it doesn't matter how you want to cut it. If you don't work hard, I tell them you can't have an NFL dream and don't have an NFL work ethic. And so if you're going to work at it and commit to it, then you have a chance and an opportunity. That's all you want. Like we're working at a level to give us an opportunity to win the SWAC championship. And if you can get an opportunity now, you just got to take advantage of it. And it's the same thing with the kids. We have our team goals, but they have individual goals. And there's nothing wrong with a kid having an individual goal of I want to be all conference, or I want to lead the team in receptions, I want to make it to the NFL and get drafted. So we have to promote their individual goals. Of course, the team goals go first, but you still got to let them know, hey, you work at a level to achieve your individual goal, and then put the team first, and then everybody be happy at the end.
Absolutely. What type of things would you say, like from your playing days, that you use to transition over into being a coach that you instill in your young athletes today?
I think to me it just starts with hard work to start off with, and Coach Markham, my coach, would always say you do what's right because it's right. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to teach them and make an impact on them as a person, as a kid. If you look at what our goal board is, it's to win today. So we go through the motto of we're going to win each day, be intentional about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the same things that I use in my life, whether it's football or just my personal life, business life, whatever. And so I think you're trying to give them the tools to be successful in life, not just on the football field.
Absolutely. What are those conversations like when it comes to, of course, it would be great if all these guys can make it to the pros, but it doesn't work that way. What are those conversations like that you have with these young men saying, hey, your education is the top priority, and if you're fortunate enough to make it to the pros, which everybody's not, and you don't want to kill their dreams.
Correct.
What are those type of conversations like, as far as like education, and if you're fortunate enough to get to the pros, what are those type of conversations like as a coach?
Yeah, I think you got to be realistic with the kids, and the kids have to be realistic with themselves. And I tell them, hey, if you look at the combine and your numbers aren't matching up to the NFL numbers, then NFL, they have a metrics, and you got to have a height, weight, speed. And if you're not meeting that criteria, then you know that you may have to do something else in life. And so, and I was fortunate enough to play 11 years, which was made way more than I thought I would. But God blessed me from that standpoint. I worked hard, and so, but I have just as much as enjoyment. I had a young man who graduated, then went back and started working at his high school as a coach. And so he called me, and he was excited about it, showed me him writing his name on the board, hey, welcome to class, Mr. So-and-so. So to me, I was just as excited and joy-filled about that as if he would have been the first-round pick in the NFL. Because I realized that I gave him a tool that and Alabama State did also, gave him a tool that would kind of guide him for the rest of his life, not just for the small period that we're in right now. So I think that's the part that we have to realize, that we're trying to set these kids up to be successful in life. And if football is a part of it, then so be it. But football may just be a bridge to get you where it ultimately needs to be.
Absolutely. When you talk about that stepping stone and that tool of using football to navigate in life, for you, what was it that gave you that bug, even though you played in the pros? I think you worked in the media as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But what was it that gave you that itch to say, you know what, I want to try my hand at being a football coach?
Well, it was always my dream, and since I was 8 years old, to be an NFL player. And I knew once I got into it, I always had with my foundations. We would always have football camp for kids. I was always giving back. I was coaching kids at a little age, so I was always in the realm of helping kids. I had 3 of my sons at home. One of them just finished playing for me and graduated from Alabama State. So it was hard for me to commit to being a full-time coach because I had my kids at home. So, but when the opportunity came, I was just in a position to commit my time. And I tell people, I could have easily wrote a check to Alabama State, but giving my time is the most precious thing that I can. And so, but it's been one of those things. It's been so rewarding. Every day I wake up and just thankful that I'm the head football coach at Alabama State. Thankful that I have an opportunity to lead young men that's going to be our next generation of coaches and leaders on the college campuses. And I tell them, just like my coach told me, somebody in this room should be a future head coach of Alabama State. And we try to hire those guys as grad assistants. We try to hire those guys as coaches and put them in a position where they could go on and carry on the tradition of the conference and the school.
From a coach's standpoint, you have to be able to adapt to the times. And when you look at the large scale of how the transfer portal, NIL, has changed the landscape of college football, what would you say is like the toughest part of coaching? Of course, you have to coach, but then at the same time, it's almost like you have to do a lot of coaching to keep your guys there as well instead of jumping into the portal. Like, what is like some of the toughest things about
I think you have to build relationships with guys, which you always had to do, but I think now you have to be more intentional about it because you have to realize that just the nature of the way the Gen Z guy works is like, if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna go try somewhere else.
Yeah.
In our nature, if it doesn't work out, we're gonna work twice as hard. So it's just, you have to understand the mindset of the kid, and you can like it or not, but it's just the way they process things, and so you have to really earn the relationship and the trust of the kid. And so, unfortunately, we're kind of working more in a 2-year cycle as far as the team turnover as opposed to 4 or 5, which means that I don't get that 5 years to see a kid mature from 17 to 21. That's like the formative years where those things that you learn in those years, that's going to pretty much be what you are the rest of your life. And so, and that's the unfortunate part of it. But you do have some kids who stay the full 4 or 5 years, and you really can get to know them on a personal basis. But others, they come and they may be for 2 years because they transferred in, and you still work to have a relationship with those kids. And it's usually something that goes way beyond the playing days. And even the kids who transfer to other schools, I still stay in touch with them to make sure that they're doing good. And I think that's just part of the commitment you have to that kid and to his family.
That's one of the conversations I had with Coach Coley earlier when we were talking about, when you have these guys on your team that are playing at such a high level, in the back of your mind, are you already thinking, man, this guy is all confidence, all swag. He's probably going to end up leaving after the end of the season. Like those are the type of things that you have to worry about when the guys are excelling. So it's like, is there any way to kind of, I guess, maybe like regulate those type of things to where you can try to keep your guys stable, even though you want the best for them, and of course, some guys' financial situation is different, and of course they want to help, take care of their families. Is it a way that you can even regulate this thing at this point?
Well, I think to me, you just have to work on a relationship with the kids, and sometimes you got to be upfront with them. Like, hey, man, this is the opportunity that's going to be there for you, but hey, sometimes you got to be great where you are, and you have to explain that to them. You're gonna go to another school that has 80 players, and those 80 players, they already have a hierarchy set, and they don't want you to come disrupt what they're playing. So, but we're here, you are our guy. We're going to celebrate you, and I think you just have to be proactive. If you realize it's a guy that's going to draw that type of attention, you have to start working while he's on your campus to recruit him and let him understand the benefits of him staying in the conference. We have the Legacy Bowl, which can help you get to the NFL. The scouts come out there, so other HBCU bowl games. So it's opportunities that's more specific to HBCU guys that give them another chance if we don't get to the combine, to the East-West game. So you got to explain to them the benefits of staying at HBCU, and I think that's a big part of it. And we still have lost some guys, but I think for the most part, guys who kind of brought in, like Bubba Adams, he could have transferred out. He stayed in and was All-American his junior and senior year. So I think for every kid that leaves, it's the story of another kid that stayed and participated with us the whole way.
Do you think there is somewhat of a misperception behind, HBCUs to where, like you said, guys may want to come in for a little bit or don't even want to even give HBCU an opportunity to come play at HBCU? Do you think there's somewhat, of course, like the rise of the popularity of historical HBCU football has risen over the years, but do you think there's still somewhat of like a misperception of the football that's played and just overall HBCU in general?
Yeah, I think the people that know, they know, but it's always going to be some that don't get it, and so it's not meant for everybody. And so we're going to like who like us. We're going to go to the high schools who like to send kids to us, and we're going to recruit the kids who want to stay and participate in HBCUs. And so every kid I recruit, if at the end of my conversation, I'm going to say stay swag and stay black. You know what I'm saying? If you don't go to Alabama State, go to another swag school. If not, go to another HBCU. I just really love the HBCU landscape. I love the swag conference, and Alabama State can't sign every kid as a freshman. But unfortunately, I may have to play against you. But I still rather you be in the conference to help us elevate what we're doing.
Absolutely. My final two questions, and we'll get you out on this. To the young men that's in high school preparing for their final year, their senior year of high school, that are looking to play at the next level, what advice would you have for those young men?
You just have to get exposed. The good thing is that you have the huddles, you have the reception to put on Instagram and Twitter, and then reach out to the coach. We're looking for you, but you got to make sure that we can find you. So go to the camps. And then I always tell kids, go to the camps of the schools that's going to recruit you. We have one more camp coming up this Saturday. And so what I tell kids is you may want to go to the Power 5 camp, but if they haven't recruited you and you're really going to get a T-shirt, come to the camp that you can get recruited. But we give scholarships based on the kids that we can see in person. And so you can't come to me in December and January and say, hey, coach, man, can I get an offer? I'm like, well, where were you in the summertime? You didn't come to our camp. So go to the Jackson State, Prairie View, Alabama State, A&M. Go to the camp so we can see you in person and know you as a kid. And that's how you end up getting scholarships to come to the schools.
Absolutely. Does that make it, piggybacking off of that, does that make it easier with social media? how it is now with YouTube and how you can make these highlight reels? Does it make it easier for you to look at these young men now to like recruit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can find kids a whole lot easier, but then you still have to go through the recruiting process and getting those kids on campus and, explaining to them the benefits of coming to your university. But it's really a lot of really good football players, a lot of guys that are competing well on a high academic level also. So you just have to go out there and look for them. And the biggest thing is, we don't get the kid that's already big, fast, and strong. He may be big and fast, but not strong, or he may be fast and strong, but not big. So we don't usually get all three, but then that's what we do. We develop that kid into a young man and help him to be better than he thought he could be. And I think that's the whole beauty of the HBCUs. If you look at a lot of the guys that came through here and did great, Aeneas Williams, me, all these guys, Ashley Ambrose, a lot of these guys didn't have a whole bunch of offers at major schools. Sometimes the Spice kids were their only offers. I was a walk-on at Alabama State, but once we got to the school, the coaches saw something in us and helped us to develop and be really good players. And I think the one sad part about it is that when we develop those guys who are going on to be good players, in that process, sometimes they end up going somewhere else. So,
right.
But that's just part of what we do. So.
Yeah, that's got to be it. That's the only thing. Got to be one of the toughest parts. Of course, you hate to see guys, you miss these guys when they graduate and move on, but then, like you said, when you help develop these young men and then they move on.
Correct.
Because it's to me, it almost feels like the thing that I worry about, and I always say I'm happy for any coach or any player that receives an opportunity to go, like you said, if it's a financial situation that can help elevate you and your family. But it's like almost to a certain extent, not saying it in a negative context, like to a certain extent, it's like can you be bought? Because when you excel and when these teams didn't give you an opportunity in the first place, but then once you become a great player, a great athlete, or a great coach, and when something comes your way, it's just like the first thing you do is just jump at them. Like that's the tough thing, the tough dynamic of it. Of course, you never knock it because you want to be in a position where you can provide better for your family. But I just would love to see more of our own, celebrate HBCU. But I think it's trending in the right direction.
Oh, it is. And I'm happy for it. I'm in a great space with it, and I love it, and I think a lot of other people do too.
Absolutely. My last and final question. I let everybody know, I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't go to a HBC. I went to a PWI, but I spent last season covering South Carolina State. My man RJ is repping his shirt right now.
Yeah.
But being there, my daughter's mom, she went to my best friend. He played football at South Carolina State, and just being there around those times and homecoming and different times, it always felt like a family reunion. And I just love the culture and everything that it represents. And I love how the fans travel, no matter where you go, your fans travel and support you. So for you, what does the HBCU experience just mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much you said it, and I tell people to say, what does it mean to say I am SWAC? Or does it mean you're just part of that whole cultural experience? You're part of, if you went to HBCU, you're going to go to the Florida Classic. It don't matter if you went to Bethune-Cookman. You're going to go to the Bayou Classic. It didn't matter if you went to Grambling or Southern. So you're going to go see Jackson State play Alcorn or the Magic City Classic. And I've been to just about all of the major classics, been to the GHO at A&T. So to me, it's all fun. So if you ask me, if I'm in LSU, I'd rather see Southern playing Jackson than LSU playing somebody. If I'm in Baton Rouge, that's just me. And I know I'm gonna have a great time and a great atmosphere. I'm gonna have a pregame, the postgame, during the game. It's just like you said, it's just more than the football game. It's the whole cultural aspect of it. Where do you rather spend the Saturday afternoon?
Absolutely, just like you said, just the love and your support, and just I love like celebrating and supporting our own
Absolutely.
people. That's what it's all about. Coach Robinson, thank you for your time. And good luck on the season.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Contact the professionals over at Marcus Mounts for all your TV mounting and assembly needs. The Upstate's #1 mounting company with over 4,000 TVs installed. Clean, precise, and affordable. The Marcus Mounts TV Mounting Company. Contact us today for an online or over the phone quote.